For sure, if they come in and watch some of these individual cells that may rotate for sure. Thanks, Steph. Another key threat with Michael, of course, is the winds, not just along the coast. Vulnerable spots inland, we'll see not only the tornado threat as well, but just damaging winds from the gusts themselves. I mean, it's going to take a while for this thing to wind down, okay? It is going to take a while. Now, again, tropical tornadoes typically not associated with supercells and 3 years we talked about, but we have a team of specialists that's out there for you. Our meteorologist, Jen's in Tallahassee. We got people near Valdosta, Georgia, even over into the Carolinas, where, believe it or not, now Wilmington is in a tropical storm warning. Wilmington.
Cough doesn't sound so good.
Take Mucinex DM.
I'll text you in 4 hours when your cough returns.
One pill lasts 12 hours, so...
Looks like I'm good all night.
Mucinex DM releases fast and lasts 12 hours, not 4. Let's end this.
All right, I brought in Ensure Max Protein
To give you the protein you need.
with less of the sugar you don't.
I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein in 2 great flavors.
When nighttime nasal congestion closes in, Breathe Right strips are designed to simply open your nose right back up. So with Breathe Right, you can breathe better and sleep better. Breathe better, sleep better. Breathe Right.
Why bother mastering something? Because when you want to create an entirely new feeling, the difference between excellence and mastery is all the difference in the world. Introducing the all-new Lexus ES, a product of mastery. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Domino's delivery drivers are experts at handling bad roads. But those roads shouldn't ruin your pizza when you carry out. So we're doing something about them, starting with this one. If your drive home is rough on pizza, tell us at pavingforpizza.com so we can fix roads across the country. Then carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Welcome to Tide Pods Talk with Gronk. I'm Gronk. I'm big and awesome, but this guy is little. Can it really clean? Heck yeah, it can. It's concentrated detergent plus stain fighters plus odor fighters that fight for clean. Boom! Ugh. Even this entire bottle can't beat Tide Pods. And now a word from future Gronk. Ugh.
The right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to have an attorney.
Ma'am, he'll be read his rights and taken to the station.
What about my rights?
In Florida, those accused of a crime are read their constitutional rights. But what about victims? No criminal should have stronger rights than their victim. It's time for equal rights. It's time for Amendment 6.
Palm Springs is hot and dry.
It's an oasis like no other place in the country. I'm Eric Bennett.
And I'm Lindsay Bennett, and we flip houses in the desert. This sandbox is our flippin' playground.
All new Desert Flippers, Tuesday night at 9 on HGTV.
Brought to you locally by El Dorado Furniture.
Every season, every storm, every time you watch, trust in the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 82 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Tonight, partly cloudy skies early, will give way to cloudy skies later at night. Low 78. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
All right, guys, welcome back to our continuing coverage of Michael again on Final Approach. Sometime potentially earlier this afternoon, we could have a landfall. All right, we could have a landfall. We're looking, again, at some of the concerns here along the Florida coast. The storm combining with the high tide to send water into neighborhoods near St. Pete. Nowhere near the center of this. The center's not going to come anywhere near it, but this is the water. This is the push of water coming in with the broad circulation around this thing. And, of course, now that the center point of the hurricane is north and west of Tampa, you're just going to continue to see this today. All right. There were reports of flooding, by the way, near Gulf Boulevard, all the way from the shoreline. So that's quite a ways inland there. Let's talk about Panama City impacts today. Today is game day for Panama City. Today is game day for Mexico Beach. Today is game day for Cape San Blas and Apalachicola. All these areas are going to get creamed. All right. There's just no other way around it. We don't see this thing just falling off the face of the earth. It's going to be a 4. Or if it weakens a little bit, maybe back down to a 3. But I think we're looking at our first 4 landfall, Category 4 landfall in the history of the Florida Panhandle. Records go back to 1851. All right. So here you go. Wednesday p.m. We're looking at 100+ mile-an-hour winds. And again, what we define as p.m. is anything after noon. All right. That's p.m. 12:01 p.m. We could see 100-mile-per-hour gusts. 8 to 12 inches of rain. Storm surge up to 9 feet. They had an emergency alert last night, asking zones A, B, and C to evacuate with an exclamation point because of the storm surge potential here. This thing is heading right toward Panama City. All right, let's talk a little bit about there's a lot of high rises here in Panama City. And there's been a lot of studies about what happens with the wind when you go from the surface, let's say, up to 10 stories. All right, so 100 feet. And there's a lot of changes in that wind. It goes up pretty rapidly. There could be as much as a 45% change just on the 4th floor, going up 4 floors. It's the friction of the land that slows the wind near the surface. But once you get away from that friction, once you get up 40 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet, you get increase in wind. And you know it. You can hear the winds howling up there. And buildings are met, they're engineering, structured engineering-wise, to sway in the wind, Stephanie. And I'd much rather obviously ride one out at the ground than I would up loft. But on the ground, some of these are going to be in storm surge, right?
That's the problem. That is the problem, right? And that surge is going to do, it's not even necessarily the surge, it's the waves on the surge that is also going to just eat away at not only the beach, but the homes as well. Let's speak about the surge, okay? And we're going to see it significant in Apalachicola. That's where our winds are already gusting to 39 miles per hour. They are going to be picking up here as we head through the day. It's only going to get worse, way worse, by the way, before it gets better. But in Apalachicola, the water is also already coming up. This is an area that is prone to flooding, 9 to 13 feet of water when all is said and done. Let's talk about the winds and the pressure with this thing. Pressure dropping. And as that pressure drops, the wind's going to go up. And you can see that over time. Our pressure going down right now, 943. Remember yesterday morning, we were at what, like 970, 968 during the show yesterday morning. We're down to 943. This is intensifying. The wind's going up to 140. At landfall right now, 145 for a Cat 5. It's got to be greater than 155. So the very latest with this system, there is nothing really to stop it from intensifying. It's in warm water. I looked up the water temperatures here. Our water temperatures offshore, 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is nice and toasty, and it ranges, of course, a little bit higher than that, a little bit lower than that. Moving north at 13 miles an hour, and it's going to make that right-hand turn. When it does that, significant power outages, not only where it makes landfall, but inland. This is not just a coastal system. This is an inland system as well, spreading from Florida to Georgia, all the way really into the Carolinas. We could have this as a tropical storm. That's going to take down some power lines. So, hurricane winds, what they're going to do. You obviously, it's too late now. All right, if you need to get out, they actually just put out an email for Bay counties. You got to get to shelter like within the next hour. Hopefully the plywood is up. You do not want to tape the windows. This is all stuff that you should have been doing over the last couple of days here. Get out of your mobile homes, and if you're not in a sturdy structure, the winds are going to come in. They're going to go downhill very quickly. Again, if you are in the eye wall, that's where you have the worst of the winds. That's where the strongest winds will be located. The eye is at center of circulation. It's clear, and then outside of that, the winds will go down, but still are going to be plenty strong in order to cause lots of power outages here. So we'll continue to watch the system as it moves inland here. And Jim, I think I'm going to toss it back to you to talk more about the rain threat, which honestly is not my biggest issue and fear with this system.
And one of the reasons is because of the wind threat, Steph, that you mentioned that's going to accelerate up through areas like Valdosta and Tallahassee. The storm's going to accelerate. Unlike Florence, that slowed down, this one's actually going to accelerate. So a complete 180 in through here. The other good news in terms of the rainfall threat, even though we got flash flood watches out in some of these areas, because let's face it, 2 inches an hour, 3 inches an hour in spots in one of these bands is going to flood anything, even the beach. All right? But here's the deal. What you're going to see with this is a storm that's going to move over an area that's been very dry for most of September and most of October thus far. So that really helps us out. That stream flows are low. The soil can take some of the moisture in through here. But what we're looking at, again, is an area where we're going to watch this move across, potentially produce some flash flooding. Valdosta, you're in this. Tallahassee, you're in this. Just south of Macon here. Again, if you're driving I-75, a horrible drive later on this afternoon and tonight as wind and rain just pound you, and then up through the Carolinas along the I-85, I-20, and 95 corridors. Guys, much more to come on Michael. Potentially, again, our first Cat 4 in the history of the Florida Panhandle.
Got it?
Got it.
It's slippery.
Yes.
Quick! The Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading Ordinary brand.
Hey, look. I got it.
Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
652 hours of live TV. 32 days out in the elements. And 1 legendary field test.
We got a good old-fashioned blizzard here.
We challenged the Weather Channel to put our squall parka through winter's worst and use their feedback to make it more functional, comfortable, and winterproof than ever before. The new Squall Parka, field tested by the Weather Channel, made even better by Land's End. Guaranteed, period.
Dear Foremothers, your society was led by a woman who governed thousands, commanded armies, yielded to no one. When I found you in my DNA, I learned where my strength comes from. My name is Courtney McKinney, and this is my Ancestry DNA story.
Now, with 2 times more geographic detail than other DNA tests. Order your kit at AncestryDNA.com.
Our craftsmen begin each day perfectly seasoning our Hillshire Farm smoked sausage. So by simply adding the right ingredients, you can end each day crafting a perfectly delicious dinner.
Behold, the Pacifica Hybrid. It's half gas, half electric. Kind of like I'm half mom, half comedy sensation. What?
More like half mom, half got dressed in the dark.
Half drama queen, half accessory stealer. Yeah, I know that's my bracelet.
Mom, how long are you two gonna do this?
With a 566-mile driving range, I can do this all day. Hope we see some of your friends.
First Man is the best movie of the year.
We're going to the moon.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin.
That is a big mother. It'll be a hell of a ride.
We got a bad fire!
There's no easy way to save us. They're gone, Neil. We need you to be commander.
We need to fail down here so we don't fail up there.
What are the chances this is the last time the boys are going to see you?
5, 4, 3, 2.
First Man, rated PG-13.
Never-ending Pasta Bowl is back at Olive Garden, starting at $10.99. Come in for over 100 combinations of pastas, sauces, and toppings, with everyone's favorite chicken Alfredo, plus unlimited salad and breadsticks. Only for a limited time at Olive Garden.
Do these moves look familiar? Then you might have a condition called dry mouth. Biotin is clinically proven to soothe and moisturize a dry mouth. Plus, it freshens breath. Biotene. Immediate and long-lasting dry mouth symptom relief.
All right, I brought in Ensure Max Protein
to give you the protein you need with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein in 2 great flavors.
Hurricane Michael's storm surge is beginning to invade Apalachicola this morning. Floodwaters have covered roads and surrounded businesses in just the last few hours. A sheriff's deputy says it came up fast, up in less than an hour actually, and it's possible these floodwaters could be about 12 feet deep before this morning is over. Water and sewer service in Apalachicola has been shut off ahead of the surge, the worst of the surge. It's already beginning. All right, so we also have a live look now at Cedar Key in Florida. The wave action has certainly been picking up as well. As we get more and more daylight, we'll be able to see exactly what's happening here on this part of the Florida Panhandle. And unfortunately, we do expect conditions to rapidly deteriorate. This is a Category 4 monster, and unfortunately, it has strengthened since the last advisory came out at 5 o'clock this morning. Now winds are 140 miles per hour, and it continues to move toward the Florida Panhandle, moving north at about 13 miles per hour. Pressure has been dropping as well. So a very serious threat, and we hope everybody stays safe out there. Of course, we are around the clock here on the Weather Channel. All right, let's head back out to Steph in Port St. Joe, Florida.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about this coming in as a Category 4. There's only been 4 landfalling Category 4 hurricanes in the month of October. And they go back 1893, 1898, 1950, 1954. 4, that's it. And 1954 was the last time we saw one. This is historical. Landfall is expected later today in the afternoon. Surge is going to be an issue. The wave action is going to be an issue. Let's talk about the wind field here. Hurricane force winds extend out 45 miles from the center. Tropical storm force winds extend out 185 miles from the center. And so even if you're not in that eye wall, you're going to get those hurricane force winds. Even tropical storm force winds are going to take out power. So the radar does show the system coming in, and we've already started to see some of the rain here. I'm not super concerned about flooding with this one. It's going to be moving very quickly. Obviously, we're going to have some areas that will flood, but surge is a bigger issue and wind is a bigger issue with this system. I know we like to compare a lot to others, but let's not do that. Let's just stick with this. Now, where's it going to come in? Now, Jim Cantore is in Panama City Beach, 30 to 40 miles to my west. Now, depending on how big the eye is, will depend on who gets what, and little wobbles there and little wobbles there are going to make all the difference. We're in Port St. Joe, all right? So who's going to get into that worst weather? It's going to be somewhere between myself and Jim Cantore. But again, a little wobble 20 miles this way or that way is going to make a huge difference in the type of winds that you get. All right, a massive difference. So it will be coming in this evening. It's going to be inland. We have crews inland as well to cover the winds, the trees that are going to be taken down. The electricity is going to be out for a lot of people. Then it could go as a tropical storm all the way into the Atlantic. Imagine that. So therefore, we have 2 tropical storm watches, also warnings for South Carolina as we head into North Carolina as well. So winds are going to be significant in that eye wall. That's going to be a massive story. But Jim, the surge where I'm located right now, the forecast for me over westbound through Apalachicola, a little bit farther east, I should say, 9 to 13 feet. We have a house that's 24 feet up off the ground.
That's what you like to hear. Certainly crew safety should be a #1 priority, and I know you are very, very good at that, as we all are out here in the field. Let's talk about this storm, though, as it comes in, because it's not just where Steph and I are, okay? It's many, many miles east of that, and it's already affecting much of the west coast of Florida. Sanibel got hammered yesterday with huge overwash. I saw, Clearwater Beach as well. Now Cedar Key's getting it this morning. And the winds overall aren't that strong. I mean, you're like, where's the wind? There's not much wind. But the water has been pushed and pushed onto that low continental shelf. All right, and that's what's piling it up, and that's why the water is rising. Look at these storm surge areas. We've got Tampa at 2.1 feet. There's Cedar Key almost at 3 feet. Remember, there'll be waves on top of that. And there's Apalachicola at 3.5. All right, so with 3.5 feet, you'll notice that with a forecast of 12 feet and that house video that we showed you, think about how much higher that water's going to get. All right? Not good. Not good. There is surge flooding well west of where we expect the center to come in. So Mobile, you're at 1.8 feet. Pascagoula, Mississippi, 2.2 feet. and this whole area of 9 to 13 feet that we'll continue to watch. So you're not going to necessarily get a perfect marriage of the hurricane warnings and the storm surge warnings, and this is a great example of that. The storm surge extends well outside of where we think the center certainly is going to come ashore. So looking at Port St. Joe, again, down where Steph is, look at that, up to 9 feet. That's what we're expecting there, possibly even higher, above 9 feet in a couple of spots right along the coast. Look at St. Mark's. Don't even go there. All right, that's all marsh getting out through there. Could be an awful situation. As a matter of fact, Steph, that water's already up, and some of those roads are probably already blocked. Over to you.
Yeah. And you know, 9 feet, Jim, 10 feet is about a one-story building, just to give you some perspective, all right? So this is going to be well over our head here. All right, so let's talk about the right front quadrant and why we do have that tornado threat. We're going to show you where that is and why that is coming up next here on the Weather Channel.
So I got an offer on the business, and now I'm thinking I'd like to retire early.
Oh, that's great, Sarah. Let's talk about this when we meet next week.
How did Edward Jones come to manage $1 trillion in assets under care?
Jay?
Sarah, so I have a few thoughts on that early retirement.
By focusing our mind on whatever's on yours.
I work at the Chick-fil-A. I go to that Chick-fil-A all the time. He came in the drive-thru. Before I can give him his change, he drove away. It was a month before he came back in. Marcus hands me this envelope, and it's like $3. I kept it in my back pocket for over a month. That's crazy. I'm just like pretty stunned. She's like, dude, you serious? What? Appreciate the $3, man. And we found out we both play trumpet.
You don't always use your smartphone for directions.
Okay, guys, out there.
Or to laugh out loud.
You're in the middle. Yeah.
But when it matters most, you count on TracFone to keep you connected for less. Our smartphone plan gives you talk, text, and data with unlimited carryover starting at $15 a month. No contract. All with nationwide 4G LTE coverage. Get top smartphones or bring your own phone. TracFone for moments that matter.
Why bother mastering something? Because when you want to create an entirely new feeling, the difference between excellence and mastery is all the difference in the world. Introducing the all-new Lexus ES, a product of mastery. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Super Emma just about sleeps in her cape.
I'm Super Emma.
But when we realized she was battling sensitive skin, we switched to Tide Pods Free and Gentle. It's gentle on her skin and takes care of stains better than the other free and clear detergent, so she can focus on saving the world, with a little help from Dad. Dermatologist recommended. It's gotta be Tide.
This is Laura, and Butch, and Tank, and Tiny, and this is Laura's Mobile Dog Grooming Palace. Laura can clean up a retriever that rolled in foxtails, but she's not much on articles of organization.
Articles of what?
So she turned to LegalZoom.
They help me out.
She means we help with her LLC, trademark, and a lot of other legal stuff that's part of running a business. So Laura can get back to the dogs.
Would you sit still?
This is Laura's Mobile Dog Grooming Palace, and this is where life meets legal.
This time, it's his turn. You have 4.3 minutes to yourself. This calls for a taste of cheesecake. Philadelphia Cheesecake Cups. Rich, creamy cheesecake with real strawberries. Find them with the refrigerated desserts.
Oh, Eric. I didn't know you were with the UPS store.
Yeah. We printed that sign.
I thought you just did shipping.
Oh, no. We do printing, packing, notarizing, faxing, shredding, mailboxing, taping, laminating, consulting, grading, designing, returning, and, of course, shipping.
I can't feel my legs. I should really get him home.
From printing to packing to mailboxing, go to the UPS store for everything your small business needs. And of course, shipping.
This storm surge scenario is possibly going to end up being historic.
You've got to get out right now.
Talk to Jim. And Welcome back into the Weather Channel here. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams live in Port St. Joe. Essentially, I'm in between Apalachicola and where Jim Cantori is stationed over in Panama City Beach. And I wanted to talk to Jim real fast here off the top. And the historic event that is unfolding, Jim, is hard to believe because how is it that we have never had a Category 4 landfall in the panhandle of Florida on record ever, and it looks like that's what's going to happen?
I think the fact that we have not had a bona fide cold front through the Gulf of Mexico to cool off the water, and the fact that they were 2 to 4 degrees above average, Steph, set the stage. Okay, with the shear waning and the system deepening, especially over water temperatures that were 2 to 4 degrees above average with no cold front, with a very highly amplified pattern, boom, we set the stage for a record, right? What would you think?
That we did, Jim. So I agree with you. I mean, you know, our water temperatures out there, at least right off the shore of Port St. Joe, I looked, we're 83 degrees. I know it's as high as 85 degrees. And that's why, Jim, we think this could be 145 miles per hour once it makes landfall. So the winds are an issue. The surge is an issue. The rain is an issue. The tornadoes are an issue. Let's talk about that here off the top. Hurricane Michael could spin up tornadoes as it tears inland today. Of course, we have torcons of 4, North Florida, South Georgia, portions of South Carolina. Red zone does include Savannah, also into Charleston. The tornado threat on Thursday will shift north and cover the North Carolina. So let's talk about that. Our forecast today, it looks like it'll be in between that 1 and 4 p.m. range this afternoon here along the Panhandle, then go in quickly to Georgia. I mean, by Thursday morning, we are going to see that on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. And by the way, it's probably still going to be a tropical storm. Think that for a second. Still a tropical storm. So the threat for severe weather today, that's tornadoes, you know, damaging winds from these little cells, not necessarily from, you know, the center of circulation. The right front quadrant, why is that? Well, you have those bands coming off the water nice and smooth. They hit the land. There's a little bit of friction. That's one factor. Then you have the upper level winds, or I should say mid-level winds, cutting across from a different way. That's going to also cause some spin in the atmosphere. So that's why we do have those torcons of 4. Just as to remember, a torcon, that's basically the percentage chance of seeing a tornado in a 50-mile radius. So if you live in North Florida, a 40% chance of seeing a tornado in a 50-mile radius. Tomorrow, it shifts into the Carolinas, and then this whole system is going to shift offshore, while, by the way,